Okay, so I've got this perfect idea for the next great show. I'm sure you're gonna love it, all right? It's literally two dudes speaking with each other. It's two dudes having a conversation, but it's not just like a regular conversation. They're out in a field, okay? Very rustic, very rural. A cornfield or a field of soybeans. Just two normal dudes talking about normal dude stuff, okay? It's focusing the aperture in on the normal dude having normal dude conversations. It's like a slice of life. It's a window into the soul of rural America. What do you think? Or how about it's a soul into the window of rural America, but it's also a baking show, okay? Two dudes in a soybean field baking things out of the soybeans. There's no agricultural intermediary. They're literally pulling beans out of the field and baking them on the spot. It's like a pop-up bakery show featuring two normal dudes in a field of soybeans, closing the aperture in on rural America, but a baking show. Or what about a baking show / rural dude normal life things, but they're sequestered in a barn? It's like Road Rules, but in a house. It's like Last Comic Standing, but it's two normal dudes in a rural setting, but it's also a baking show. Combined. I've got an idea for a handwriting analysis show called Narsipens, where we analyze people's handwriting in real time in a booth that we set up in a strip mall in Council Bluffs, and we analyze not just their handwriting, but we figure out what that means about them personally. Spoiler alert, every single person whose handwriting we analyze is a narcissist. How about a show called Postnasal Drip? It's literally a hidden cam show in an office environment. The employees have no idea, but it's just very unappealing shots of people wiping their nose and then wiping, and we see how much what do they wipe on other things, you know? Because if they're wiping their nose with their bare hand, they're touching something else, and then we come in with a black light and some high-tech ghost hunting equipment, and we call it drips and drops. Full stop drips and drops, and we find out what is on this computer screen. Looks pretty normal during daylight hours, but after the office shuts down for the night, what's on there? Oh my, that looks like cumin from a roasted goat. What's happening? What's actually happening in this pharmacy? What do you think about that? Cake Attacks. Here's the show. Baking show, but the cakes are elaborate replicas of ancient architecture. This wedding cake leans a little to the left, like too much to the left, like Visigoths are going to attack the wedding. These blueberry muffins are in fact based off of Arawak thatch huts from the Yucatan. Educational, and it tastes great. And it's a pop-up street show. You've got a host. He or she is out on the streets. He approaches random strangers and they have to guess what's in his pocket. He has 3 things, but they don't know. They have to literally reach into his pants to figure out what's in his or her pocket. And it's called What's in My Pocket. It's like a game, it's like a pop-up game show, but it's on a street, but it's a combo dating show. And there's objects in the pockets, but there's also people hiding in the alley, and each object in the pocket corresponds to a dating prospect who's in the alley. And then there's 18 GoPros. Everybody has a GoPro attached to them, so we can literally intercut between people's emotions as random people on the street are reaching into the host's pockets to procure objects which correspond to people in the alley who are potential matches for the contestants. We don't even need a budget. It's literally, $10, $15 an episode, because I'll go get the objects from the Goodwill. I will go get the objects from my mom's house. I will go procure the objects from the back of my car because I haven't cleaned it in a few years. I have most of the stuff we can use on this show in my locker right now. We could start shooting in the next 5 minutes. Here's a show called Is Any of This Usable? This show is a bird's eye view, high concept comedy where we fly a repurposed Air Force jet over one man, one woman. We follow them 24/7. It's a super expensive show with little payoff. And in the end, we find out that they have nowhere to be and nowhere to go. But it looks cool. It's kind of a sucker punch to the audience because with all the high-tech radar that we're monitoring them with, they think something cool at some point has to happen, and surprise, surprise, nothing cool happens. Bev literally just goes home to her house every day after work. That's it. From the daycare to her house, she never deviates. And then on the 8th episode, we bomb the house. We explode it. She's not in it. Nobody dies, but the audience is meant to think that she may be in there. So it's a cliffhanger for the next season when we bring it back. When we bring back Bird's Eye 2, Subterranean View. And then it's all about like a earthbound periscope. A periscope coming up out of the earth through the floor of your home. Swiveling. Oh, we're in the bathroom. Oh, we literally came up through the floor into your game room. How about this periscope, the Bird's Eye 2 Subterranean View branded periscope, watching you, watching yourself, watching your avatar web stream your own Minecraft sesh. Could be big with the kids. Some of the best ideas are the simplest ideas. Show called Duck Hunt. Is it a copyright violation? Absolutely. Was it a Nintendo game in '87? Absolutely. Could it be a great community television show? Actual duck hunters sitting around trying to figure out how to run a video game console playing the cartridge version of Duck Hunt? Yeah, hilarious. I have an idea for a show called Somebody's Watching Me, and it's not a surveillance show. It's literally a show about the old tinkers who fix watches and the exciting times of their lives when they're done making and fixing watches. We all know the neighborhood tinker who sits down and fixes our watch, adds a link or two, or gets it to run on time, but what do those guys do when they're not fixing watches? Who's watching me and their wild nightlife, you know? As they crash the Keno parlor and drink light beer, trim each other's mustaches, talk about hair plugs and replacement because they're all bald and British. How about a show called Kick 'em in the Nuts? Hosted by, I don't know, find some 16-year-old from like Omaha Brian who has nothing better to do, but we bleach his hair, send him out on the street, and have him, you know, with a stick mic, and he basically asks whoever he comes across, you know, how much money would it take to get you to let me kick you in the nuts? And then we find out. I bet it's pretty low with some people. Might be as low as $10, $15. You never know how desperate people are is the point. How much money would you accept to let me kick you in the nuts? You know, sometimes you're gonna get some people who are like $500 and then we're like, next, you know, but some people are definitely gonna be like, I could use $25 right now. Done. Got an idea for you. The show is called Pieces. It's about chess players not only matching each other, but the violent lives that they have outside the chess matches. Okay, so it's like the chess pieces, but it's like what kind of pieces are they carrying? You know what I mean? Like, yo, they're matching wits on the chess board, but they're also moving pieces like out in the alley. Like, who's gonna blink? You know? Knight to rook 4. Mother. Live action kids competition show called You're Not the Boss of Me, but we take literal babies, you know, or at most 2-year-old toddlers, and we put little suits and business attire on them, and then we make them go to their parents' job and see if they can do it. And then frustration runs amok because adults are trying to get things done. Your dad Phil would normally be filling out this report at this time. Well, that's not going to happen because Travis is 4 years old and he barely speaks. And he's having trouble walking and he already has ADHD. So not only does the report not get filled out, but there's drool all over everything. And, you know, like the phone stops working as these little babies try to run an actual corporation. You know, who's the boss of me? Here's a show called Journeys into the Forgotten. It's like a history channel, but with a much lower budget because it's community television, and we go into people's houses and garages and we root around in there and we take a journey into the forgotten. Did you know you had this thing? That's literally the box of my wife's belongings before she left me. Journey into the Forgotten. We invade local people's homes to dig through their stuff and embarrass them with their own belongings. Journey into the Forgotten. We descend into the basements of local neighborhood people to bring up painful memories from their past that convict them to change their lives, or not. Journey into the Forgotten. We descend into the wine cellars of wealthy people from West Omaha to bring out their most expensive bottle of wine and smash it on their kitchen. Here's a show called Grapes of Wrath. I descend into the wine cellars of wealthy couples from West Omaha, bring out their most expensive bottle of wine, and smash it on their kitchen floor to see what they'll do. Here's a show I was thinking of. You might dig this idea. It's called Ants in Your Pants Can't Dance. We pour a vat of fire ants into a random unsuspecting person's pants, and then it's a dance competition. So it's like Dancing with the Stars meets Fear Factor. It's hosted by Joe Rogan. This is an idea called microbillies. Bear with me. The whole thing is shot through the tube of a microscope, okay? So it's literally whatever's happening in the petri dish, but with humorous voiceovers. Al! What's new, Al? Oh, not much. Just floating around trying to subdivide. Here's an idea for a show called Microfission. We shoot it through a microscope, and all it is microscopic bacteria and amoebas interacting to voiceover that we do after the fact, you know? Hey Al, what's new? Oh, not much. Dividing my time between myself and myself. It's cell-level humor for the scientific crowd. Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
No, that's the title of the show. Can I go to the bathroom? We force people to stay at their desks so long without a bathroom break to see who's got the longest human breaking point. Can I Go to the Bathroom features employees who have signed up for the worst kind of corporate torture. They have to sit at their desk all day, every day, until their bladders are on the verge of exploding. What's that urgent pressure on the inner wall of my bladder? Is it time for me to go to the bathroom? Can I go to the bathroom? Nope. Sorry, Al. You have to sit at this desk until your bladder explodes. Can I go to the bathroom? The answer is always no. You can air it between like midnight and 1. It can just fill a block. It can be like a block filler. What about a show that really resonates with the younger crowd? I'm thinking something called Twerk Talk or something like that. Yeah, I know that's all that happens on TikTok, is they twerk, but that's why it's funny, because it's Twerk Talk instead of TikTok. It's a play on words. It's literally, we just showed TikTok clips, but it's called Twerk Talk because they're all clips of people's nasty dance moves. Here's a high concept idea. 30 minutes of complete silence and darkness filling your screen, called Black Box: Blackout. How about a disaster-themed Chinese restaurant cook-off show? We call it Oh the Humanity, with a real volcano in the middle of the set that spews lava, with a wok-sized volcano that shoots fire in the middle of the set. We'll call it Oh the Humanity. What do you mean, you don't think they'd get the Hindenburg reference? Okay. Very simple show idea called Spoon-Fed. I walk into restaurants with my own spoon, walk up to the first person I see who's in the middle of eating their lunch or dinner or breakfast or what have you, and I put my spoon right into their dish and start eating it as well. Probably not very safe for sanitary reasons, but absolutely compelling television. Here's an idea called Dance on Dad. I take a van full of toddlers around to various places of business. I unleash the toddlers into the lobby with one instruction: find the first person who looks like your dad and dance on their body any way you can. We roll tape. Don't tell me that a few of those kids aren't leaving without a mild concussion. Got an idea for a show called The Butt Cheek Ninjas, okay? Some misbegotten kids from various foster homes around the country join forces to form the Avengers of prepubescent karate. They're led by a derelict 20-year-old sensei who doesn't quite have his life together, and all of them have mild superpowers based in human flatulence.